Welcome to this third episode of the Racing Car Gem by Ozzy, or the racing car that Ozzy is doing, um, thanks to the Racing Car Gem, based on the AProcessing framework. Um, uh, Hello, Ozzy.
Hello,
As you
can
can,
you hear me?
yeah, you. I think you are a bit far, but yeah,
Oh,
I can hear you. Yeah,
good. I
yeah,
will stay closer.
yeah, like that is fine. Yeah. Okay, so as always, we start with the uh, usual ritual, let's say this, um, where we go through my YouTube, where I ask you to like my videos, and it's the only way basically I know of how to share what I do. Remember that under each video, there is this show more where you get links. Um, Related to the video, normally sources, so the Aussie ones, you get links to each episode and their source and the source related to it. And basically the link takes you to Mega, where there is either Amiga or Commodore 64, and then depending on what episode you need to go to. I remind you also to like my Facebook page and subscribe to my Phase 101 Facebook group and Commodore Dev Facebook group. Um, one is dedicated to Phase 101 and one is dedicated to anything related to Commodore. Of course, if you want to get in touch with me, the best way is to get in touch with me using Discord. You can send me messages on Facebook. I do reply to Facebook messages, but I take time. While on Facebook, I'm more, let's say, agile. I also have a Telegram group. The links will all appear in the upper right hand corner of the screen. Um, uh, and you will also see them in the chat. Um, uh, for those that do not want to use Facebook, do not want to use Discord, you can join on Telegram. For those that want to support us more for what we do, you can either subscribe to Patreon or to Coffee. Both are the same, and you can see you will unlock 84 videos currently. We are doing this stream thanks to this gem, the retro programmers inside and myself, Phase 101, um, racing car gem, because we wanted something like this. I recognize that this gem is not as easy as maybe as other gems, um, in terms of what was done on retro programmers inside. However, I think um, sometimes you need some harder challenges. Let's put it this way. So we jump to the dev screen. Okay, and I assume we start with the slides. And I pass on to Ozzy. As I said, this is the third episode of this series. In the meantime, I say hi to Dockster. Um, Evening Masters. Hello, Dockster. And let's start with the game. What Ozzy needs to tell us today?
uh, not too much, I would say, because I'm treating these, let's say, these streams, these Twitch streams, like a sort of diaries, my development diary. So I'm just telling you what I'm doing in these days. What challenges do I face? And what problem did I solve in these last weeks, I would say, because I think last time we had we had a stream, it was the second week of January,
Yeah.
and yeah, and actually most of the development for my artsy game was done in the sense that the physics engine behaves like I want to behave,
Hmm.
and let's say the main skeleton, so the hard part of what I had in mind is done. So what's missing here is something that could make the game presentable, ready for the challenge or the game jam. It's not a challenge; it's a game jam. Still, there is something missing that I want to add, and this is where I focused on the last weekend, because for the one that doesn't know me, I mostly code retro code on Amiga on Saturday mornings. So this is what I'm going to show you is just what I did in two Saturdays, mostly Saturday morning, and sometimes I do something after dinner before going to bed, but just minor things. Unfortunately, there's not too much this week because I
Mm,
stumbled upon on a very nasty problem, and you phase know you know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
I mean the nasty bug that occurred randomly and crashed randomly my game, and I didn't absolutely no idea how to reproduce, because sometimes the game went fine from the start to the end, and sometimes it crashed. Sometimes I had gurus, sometimes mangled screen. So very strange. And I just want to say that I use Git for versioning, and Git gave me a very big help, because I went back in time. I just checked out my previous commit, so I was able to get the offending code, but still the bug was very hidden. And at the end of the stream, I will talk about this, and also I'd like to have your opinion, your take. What's your take about this bug? Even if I already talked to you a little about this, but still, I think that your streams and your group is actually made also for these things. For example, if someone says, okay, in the book there is a mistake, in my opinion there is a mistake, I think we are all open for discussion.
Yeah.
uh,
Yes.
so I'm just taking advantage of you to raise your voice and start a discussion about this, because I'm quite sure that this is a bug, but of course it must be someone must could disagree with me, and I'd like to have all opinions.
Yeah. It. I. In the context of your game, it is a bug. Definitely. In the context of the book, let's say Fabio was lucky. um, Also because he set some rules, but remember the book is not all written by himself. There are parts that he didn't write, and I think those rules were also broken. So we will talk about it later on, but yeah.
Yeah, the point is just again, I like you and your group, because there is something you are open to discussion, and even if I'm saying things not right, still you listen to me, and maybe we can discuss about this, because
Yeah, sure.
different views or opinions. So just want to say this, but I'm not stating that the book is not good. The book works
Oh, the
very
book
well.
is good, but like any other book, they all have errors in them, and you need to correct them. And you know, we found errors. It's not just this one. I mean, I found errors myself. I have notes of them, and yeah, they need to be corrected. Um, anyway, it's part of the when you write a book. You know, if I had to write a book myself, I'm pretty sure it will have errors. So yeah,
Okay, but I just hope that in case somebody have the same problem, maybe he will remember the stream
oh yes,
and say,
yes,
okay, this is the problem, because really, literally, I spent the whole Saturday uh, trying to find this bug.
yeah. It's a nasty one.
Literally,
It's
and
a
I
it's
was very frustrated. And sometimes I wonder how it's possible that in the past the Amiga developers, they didn't have Git, they didn't have emulators. How it's possible that they still managed to do such a great production and fix bugs without all this help that we have to do today.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a really mystery for me. But anyway, uh, so we can jump to page number one, so we can start talking about what I did and stop
But by the
bothering.
way, I just noticed something before the stream and now in the stream. You shaved.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm starting to have a white beard, and I don't want to show white beard
Uh-huh. Okay.
publicly. I feel young, still young.
You want to feel young.
Yeah, I'm 43, and it's too early to show the white beard.
Okay.
Okay. And then, okay, what I would like to talk about today is the new feature of my game. And the first thing is that I implemented a full 32 colors track mode. So, as you already know, the Amiga ECS OCS can support 5-bit planes, and this means 32 colors. And I remember in the last stream, someone asked why I use double playfield and causing a limiting of the colors. And I said I need double playfield because I want just to plot points, just to realize where
Yeah, I
the
think it
front.
was Dockster that asked that
Yeah,
question. And at the same time, I'd like to say hello to 6502 Kebab. Um, welcome to the stream.
yeah. So the first thing that I did the following Saturday was, okay, get rid of the double playfield and implement a new mode with full 32 colors. And this is what I did. And of course, as always happens when programming on the Amiga, I had a lot of problems just with a single color increase switch. And I'm going to talk about this later. Another feature that I added is the two-player mode. Players, I think it's missing an S, but sorry for
No,
this.
no, two player,
Uh,
you say.
two
Not two
player,
players. Yeah.
two-player, okay,
Two player mode.
good. And this is because originally what the game was intended to be a, a multiplayer game, not using the internet or remote connection, but just because I remember when I was young, I had all my friends at home, and we were playing on the same computer with different controllers. And it was real fun racing together on the same screen, on the same room, with the and this is what I want to recreate. So avoid, at least for now, multiplayer over the internet or over LAN, and just use a single Amiga. And for now, I implemented a two-player mode, but going up should be quite easy. And I also want to remind the audience, but I they probably already know this. There is the possibility in the Amiga to add 4 controllers, because standard Amiga has 2 joystick ports, but you can take advantage of the parallel port to add two
Yes.
extra controllers. There are games that are going that are able to use the parallel port, and there is a hardware adapter that you can build yourself, or it's very trivial, or you can buy it for a couple of euros. Literally, it's very cheap. And this, if I learn how to use the parallel port in order to use the extra 2 controllers, I can support up for to 4 players. And this would be very cool. I don't think that the RAM Jam book,
No, it
um,
doesn't. It doesn't. But
yeah,
there's a, I think I have it somewhere. There's a GitHub link with code that tells you how to um, do use 4 controllers. Basically, add 2 more controllers.
yeah, that will be very useful for me, because for now I'm just allowing the user to select whether a joystick port 1, and this is joystick 2 because joy.1 is the address, or the keyboard.
Sorry,
And
sorry. I'm laughing at the messages that Dockster and 6502 Kebab are saying. Yeah, it's not anymore in Italian. It's always in English now. The book was in Italian. And yeah, 6502 Kebab. It's you were unfortunate. Let's say that. Okay.
yeah, but we have a translation now, so
Yeah,
what's the
yeah,
problem?
yeah. Sorry, I
uh,
interrupted you. Yeah,
no,
continue.
no problem. Feel free to interrupt whenever you want. We have time. So 2 players mode. Right now, I'm supporting Joy One and WASD keyboard. And SD keyboard is just a key combination that I usually use when doing playing Doom, for example. I don't know, so games like Doom, because feels right to me to have on the left hand this combination of keys. But of course, the code is flexible enough that you can define whatever combination you want. So it's not a big problem. And thanks to Dario that gave me the nice intuition about how to handle the keyboard presses on the Amiga. So maybe later I will show you my code, which is more or less what Dario told me on Discord. Already I already anticipated the keyboard management for 1 player. You can select this WADS key combination. There is an option screen, and it's just a black screen. Pardon. It's just a black screen, but you can navigate through different entries on the screen, and you can do some stuff. For example, control selection and sounds on off, exit to the OS, and start the race. That's it. Maybe I will find someone on my demo group that will give me an image to put on the background, just to decorate a little more, because black background is quite sad. I have a new set of fonts, and there is my this demo group guy called Vectrex28, and he painted just for me a new set of fonts. They are 16 by 16 fonts and 3-bit planes. And unfortunately, when he was drawing the fonts, he was drunk and he missed the R font. So the R was replaced by an A for now. So if you see car instead of car, that's because the R is missing. But he promised me to redraw the R. And then the car timers are reorganized in the bottom of the screen. So the last 16 pixel on the bottom of the screen is just meant for report the timers. And there are two type of timers. There is the current timer and the best lap timer. Additionally, there is a lap counter, and they are organized in. I just divided the screen in 4 equal parts. So on the left there is the timers about car number 1, and then on the right car number 2, and so on. Just want to say that for now I'm planning to do maximum 4 cards, because the problem is the Amiga supports up to 8 sprites, but we have a problem because the car, the sprites, as you already know, probably the sprites comes in pair. So if you use, for example, sprite number 0 for a red car, sprite number 1 must be red as well, unless you just make 2 colors, 1 color sprite. But there is this problem, so you have to pick more colors or more cards. And for now, I picked just one to just to do a 4 car racing game. And the other problem is collisions, because I can try to write an engine that detects the collisions if the cars are overlapping some sort of pixel. But the Amiga has this hardware acceleration, and there is a collision detection, but the collision detection works only if the sprite that are colliding belongs to different couple of sprites. So you can detect a collision between sprite number 0 and sprite number, I don't know, 7, for example. I don't know if the odd sprites can detect collision, I don't remember, but there are a lot of limitation if you use hardware sprites. So the thing is, if I stay with 4 cars, it's doable. If I add more cars to a 8-car racing game, will be possible, but I don't know if I can manage all this stuff, all this calculation, because I have to check if car number 1 is colliding with car number 2, if car number 1 is colliding with number 3 or 4 and 5, and so on. So it's a lot of calculation, and I will try to first take advantage of the Amiga hardware instead of doing all the stuff on my own. At least this is my first try. Okay, can we jump to the next slide?
I think before we jump to the next slide, we should show them the game.
Oh yes, I forgot that.
Yeah.
We also have the game,
Yeah.
which by the way is open and anyone can download and try it.
Give me some time, guys. PH 5. So here is the game.
Yeah, this is the welcome screen that I talked before with a black background.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to make it bigger. Uh, it loses its proportion, I think. That's the best we can make it. So, joystick 1, okay, sound is on or off, you can see, and I'm going to use keyboard joystick port 1, and we can start. So you can see the two cars, one is red, one is white. Hopefully, right now it's a bit difficult to control, so don't blame me, but Ozzy is going to change it, because you get the speed by pressing the joystick up, but at the same time you need to turn, so it's difficult to have the speed and turning. So if you hit diagonal, for example, you can see what happens also. So I'm just going to play with the keyboard. I found myself better with the keyboard.
Yeah, it's much easier.
So for some reason it didn't turn. Oops. Of course there's no collision detection right now, okay, so bear with me. But also it slides too much in my opinion.
But this is intentional.
Did it get stuck? It doesn't want to get out.
Yeah, you have to find the right spot. Yeah, this is another issue that I have to fix, because I know, because it happens, you can get stuck, because I'm checking the front wheel and the rear wheel.
Yeah, Docs, there are lots of changes, and glad to hear that you started the game now. Sorry, you were saying?
The problem is that I am allowing the car to turn even if the velocity is 0. And this leads to some contradiction, because if you turn the car at velocity 0, there is the possibility that the front wheel gets out of the prohibited area, but at the same time the back wheel goes into.
That is what happened. I mean, can I go back? Can I exit?
Yes, just press left mouse button and you can restart the program.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, the idea is that you can return to the main screen and not exit the program.
Yeah, of course. So right now you can again it could stop. It was not happening to me. Okay. Earlier I played it quite a bit.
Did you practice?
Yeah, to not look so bad with the controls. With the joystick it was impossible.
Yeah, because
with the joystick impossible, but with the keyboard you can somehow play it. Now this part is very difficult.
Yeah, because
there is no. It's like you have no brakes here.
Yeah, the hint is try to reach the green part, and you get some traction on the road.
Oops. I hope it... Ouch. Puppy mode. No, Dockster, this one has nothing to do with puppy mode. And I need to correct you a bit. It's impossible to read the text and play a game. Somebody gave me a hint today, and I think I'm going to do it. To record myself playing a game, and during the live stream, I make I play the recorded version of me playing the game because it's really tough to play the game and reading the text. Hello, Dario.
Anyway, I can assure you I am able to complete a single lap in 1800 frames. You are now at
Yeah, 6,000.
6,000.
No, but I did it. I think I did it at 2,000, not 6,000. But now it's just. Also during the stream, it is less responsive. You know that because of the stream.
Of course. You need a more powerful computer to run this.
No, 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 no.
Nvidia.
It's no. The computer is powerful. I can tell you, the utilization of my PC is 20%. So, and the GPU, the GPU is 5%. So, what?
Yeah. This game is very demanding.
No, what I meant is because of the streaming, the refresh. It's.
Come on, you're going very well.
Well, I was trying to read the text now. That's why I did that mistake. I think I'm stuck now because I am between two things. No.
Yeah, probably. You have to find the right angle and press accelerate to get out of this.
Yeah, I'm pressing.
There is a way.
But nah. Okay, let's play with the joystick. Let's see.
Yeah. My next change will be fire to accelerate instead of up.
It's difficult to go diagonal and. It skids too much, in my opinion.
That's the beauty of the game. You have to calculate, or your brain, the exact trajectory and find out which is the right spot to release the throttle.
Also, is it possible to make the car a bit bigger?
Yes, it is possible because this sprite is 8 pixels by 8 pixels.
Yeah, it should be a bit bigger, I think.
Yeah, but the problem is that if I double the size of the car and I implement the collision detection, it will be quite hard to overcome one car to run because the road is it's not too big.
Yeah, basically you make the road bigger. You can make the road bigger. And like that, because when you have 4 cars, it's also a bit. Ooh.
Yeah, the problem is always the same. I don't know how to draw a car, but I think I can try to do a much bigger car. Maybe the game is.
I mean, you have space. Let's face it.
I have space because hardware sprites allows to up to 16 pixel wide image, but since I have the odd sprites available, I could go also for 32 pixel.
Dockster said when you drive under the road, perhaps the sprite should get behind in the graphics. When you pass under the bridge, you mean, or under the road? Yeah.
but there's no bridge. In my mind, it's all at the same level. So it's not a bridge. It's just a crossroad, an intersection. But yes, we could do something, some trick to hide the sprite. It's not trivial because it's not dual playfield now, it's 5-bit planes. With dual playfield it's much easier. But No, it's possible, but it's not the priority right now. For now, the priority is to get something that it's usable.
Mhm.
This is the goal.
So, um, we continue with the slides, and then
Yes.
we'll show it again.
Okay. You can go to the next
So
slide.
here is the new track, I assume.
Yeah, this is just a comparison, and just want to mention that again, this is a screenshot that I took from the DOS game, and the process I use to get this picture on the Amiga is to convert the PNG file into an IIFF file, so an Amiga file, and then just do some modification with Deluxe Paint. And then from the IFF file, I go to RAW, and I use the directive inkbin of devpack to import the raw data inside my executable. But the final goal will be to have a dedicated directory inside the floppy disk, for example, when you store all the raw data. And with the OS, I can read this data and import into memory in RAM, so you can have multiple tracks and you can edit your tracks on your own if you want, just using GIMP or Deluxe Paint. This is my final goal. For right now, there is only one track, but I think it's quite easy. I also remember that there is a paragraph inside the Fabio Ciucci's book when he describes how to load a file into the RAM
Yeah.
from the file system. The only thing is that I remember the technique he used is just to re-enable temporarily the OS to take advantage of the OS routines, uh, get the data, and close the OS again. So this is his method, and I think I can just do it do this way. Of course, I don't think it's worth spending time in making some any other custom loading routine or
Yeah, what
whatsoever.
he does is actually um, he takes over the OS, but then when he wants to load, he opens a little bit of it and then shuts it down again. So actually, it's not that you don't really get the full OS, but you get DOS. You get to be able to call DOS functions.
Yeah,
The rest is not really there.
yeah. I remember in the past I had another intuition because I was trying to do. Yeah, actually, I did it because on my demo I did a different technique, and it was this part of the demo runs on an interrupt. So I have in the main program this requesting the access to the data, and the game is in the OS. So we have this switch and over again just to mimic the behavior of a track.
Mhm.
But in this situation, I think we don't need to load data while the cars are running, where the game is on. So the idea is, okay, you press start playing, and then it loads the track that you selected, and then it stops the loading, and you start playing, and that's it. I think it's the way to go here.
Mm.
Anyway, this is just a comparison how it looks with 32 color. The image on the right is 8 color because it was on double playfield, and the left one is much better now. The original image was 256, and so there is this program that I use under Linux, but it's multi-platform, called XN Convert, and I think it's free.
Yeah,
Yes, it's free,
I use it
and
too.
yeah, it's well
Very good.
made,
Yeah.
well made for in my opinion. And what it does is it takes an image of whatever format, and you can apply the operation on it, like for example a resize or a change color depth, or there are a lot of things. So you can add detail or everything, literally a lot of stuff. And it can output to the EFF format. And this is important for me because it's the only program that I
Yes.
found that can, in one just with one click, take an image, change the number of colors, and convert to the Amiga format,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
the
yeah.
IFF, which is ILBM actually. It's a
Hmm.
bitmap.
Yeah.
So what I use is this, and this is the image, the final image output, what you get. Then I convert to raw. This is my process. Okay, I think we can proceed with the next slide. And so this is what I already mentioned before. The problem with 32 colors is that you can't use a double playfield. The Amiga has only 6 playfields, at least the ECS, OCS machines. So you can go 5-bit planes plus another 5-bit planes. It's impossible, even on AGA, I think. So get rid of double playfield, which was nice because I like it. The sprite colors are shared with the track background image. So the main problem here is if there is a lot of gray, for example, in the track image, uh, if you use the color 17, for example, which is reused for the sprite, you get uh, the car meshed with the road, and you can tell anymore what is the road and what is the car because they are this exact same color. So you have to adjust the colors of the track and try to assign colors which are reserved to the sprites, some color which is not much present in the image, in the track image. This is my technique, at least, because otherwise there is no way to get 32 colors. You can go 16 and you reserve the other 16 colors for the sprites only, and then you are free. But since we want to have, at least I want to have 32 colors because I realized that the quality was much better with 32, and there is no such great performance
You can
loss.
go also 64 if you want. Half bright.
I Yeah, this is another possibility. I never tried with half bright.
It's just a
There
tick.
are some limitation also. I don't know if a XN convert can do half bright mode actually.
No, no, no. You have to use Deluxe Paint in that
Yeah,
case.
yeah. Anyway, this is a problem that maybe people who knows how to draw can do it. For me, it's very hard to paint something, even in 2-bit planes. Going half bright, it's pure madness for me because even half bright has some limitation. Okay, you can double the colors, but there are some other kind of issues. So, but yes, this is another possibility, of course. I don't know how sprites behave over half bright modes. Actually,
The
never
same.
tried it.
The same.
The same,
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
still use color 17 and
Yeah, 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 yeah,
18,
yeah. Half
19.
bright is just you have 32 colors, and then you enable, you just tick a bit, you enable a bit in DMA con 0, if I remember correctly. You enable it, and you get half bright. Basically, it takes the 32 colors and it gives you half of the luminance of the 32 colors. So basically, it's the
Exactly.
same.
Exactly. This is a trick, I would
Yeah,
say.
it's a trick. Yeah,
Another option is, do you remember the game from McGeezer, which is, I think, Super Sprint, or I
yeah,
don't know the exact
yeah,
name? He uses, okay, the game is very different from a
yeah,
game, but he used interlace mode, I think.
yeah. With
And
16
this
colors.
is this is something interesting because you can go with much higher definition. You can double
Yeah,
the vertical size and I don't know if even if you can, not only the vertical size, I think
yeah.
you can go, I think,
No, no. You doubled the you he doubled the horizontal, but not the vertical.
the horizontal.
He doubled the horizontal, but not the
Okay,
vertical. Because if you double the vertical, you get flickering.
exactly. But I remember there is some flickering on this game. Maybe I'm wrong
Uh,
because I just saw it once on my friend.
640 by 256 colors. Oh, sorry, 640 by 256 doesn't flicker, but 640 by 512 it does. No,
Yeah,
but you are limited to 16 colors.
yeah. This is of
But
course when you program in the Amiga, you have also always have to do
yeah,
some
but
this
then the
type of.
sprites have the other use the other 16 colors. No, so in a way you're still okay.
Yeah, this is another solution, of course. Totally agree with that. But for now, let's say that I took a more classical path. So low power res of 32 colors, 5-bit planes. And actually, what I have in mind is to when I'm done with this game, I want to change the routines and go RTG and to do the same exact thing on a PyStorm or on a Vampire. I'm already experimenting with chunky modes, and I think this is also something that the Fabio Ciucci's book doesn't cover for obvious reasons. I don't know. The RPG modes are, I think they are not
Which
discussed at
one?
all.
Which mode?
For example, chunky screens.
Uh, he
Chunky,
does cover it, but not not really well.
yeah,
Not really well.
yeah. I
It's
tried
because
to.
at that time you needed a special monitor, no? So
Yeah, you also need an RPG expansion, so
not
like a video card.
not on the not on the A1200 if you have a modern monitor. If you have a monitor, if you have an old monitor, yes, but a modern monitor, no.
Yeah,
Which
but people with PyStorm or PStorm or Vampire, they usually have an HDMI
yeah, yeah,
monitor,
no, no,
a model.
but even with the for example, I have my Amiga connected to a Sony Brava or TV, okay, and it can switch to the high res the 1280 by 512. You know that is normally not possible on a normal monitor, but the Brava can do it because the monitor can take any frequency basically. So new modern monitors normally they or TVs normally they do it. Old ones no. So and some people just want the old monitor while I cannot stand it. But yeah,
Yeah, of course you can't do it on my Commodore
no, no, no. On
1084S,
those
of
type of
course.
monitors you cannot do it. No.
No, but there is the possibility because I'm quite fascinated by these chunky screens. So maybe I try to do some experiments I followed the Gunnar, let's say, few episodes on Twitch on how to do this, but I must say that he is using the all the vampire hardware, and what he taught me doesn't work with any other product which is not a vampire. So mm, uh, my idea is to maybe use DOS. Maybe I'm blasphemy right now using intuition graphics library and do set pen and then write the pixel array or all this stuff. But don't know. I would like to. This is something that I will
Which
think.
the vampire series? Which ones? Because there are only what, 3 or 4 videos of the vampire that Gunnar did.
Yeah, but they were meant for the V4
Yeah,
series.
yeah, yeah. V4. Yes, yeah.
So standalone, Ice Drake, and Firebird.
Uh huh. Yeah. By the
But
way,
anyway,
Dogster, enjoy your beer. And Pelicus, no, you cannot give it a pellet. So just to answer those questions. Because some people like to have a cider while watching my stream. So,
one moment, I just take a sip.
yeah,
So I was saying that uh, compromises. You can't use different colors for sprite. This means that every time that I convert an image with the XN convert, I get an IFF file. And oddly, every time I convert an image, if there is a very small change, I get the color palette rearranged. It seems randomly or pseudo randomly. I don't know why. So it means if XM convert changes the palette colors indexes, I get the cards color are different. So one time is pink and one time is white and one time is whatever.
yeah. This is why I use promotion because I know I there is that issue. But for still images is fine, but anything else, it's yeah, can be an issue when you have other colors.
Yeah. What I wanted to do instead, I find my own solution because I like custom tools because they behave exactly as I want. Even if I have to spend time on that, I have this ILBM to RAW converter, and this program is just a converter. There are many other out there, but I like this because it does exactly what I want. And this is a simple. It's a C program, and you can compile it for Linux. This is the environment where I built it, but it's just really just C standard libraries. I think you can compile it also on other systems like Mac OS and Windows whatsoever. I think even on an Amiga, a real Amiga,
But
because really it's
by the
very
way,
basic.
this
It's
tool is found on Ozzy's GitHub. Okay, so the
yeah,
ILBM to raw is on Ozzy's GitHub.
yeah. What I usually do is this: I just write my make file. I just type make, and ILBM to raw is invoked. It takes the IFF file from the repository, which is the first argument. It converts to raw, and then optionally you can get also a PAL file, which is a binary file that represents the color palette. So this is what it's doing. And if you go to the following slide, there is this extension that I wrote specifically for this game, and you can see that there is this minus s at the end of the command, which stands for switch. So when he converts to raw, it also swap colors of position. For example, color 17 in this case is swapped with color 11, color 18 with 2, and so on. And this is an example. So on the left there is the color palette taken from XN, and if you see here, we have at index 17 the color which is purple or pink. I don't know which color is it. It's
Magenta.
between
Magenta.
magenta,
Hmm.
magenta. And so I got a magenta car, of course. This is pretty trivial, I would say. And I don't want magenta car because it's ugly. So what I did, I just changed the build system, and I just said minus s change color 17 with color 11, and color 11 is, I think, the are red or blue, I don't remember, red, and it switches color.
Hmm.
And these are the results of my build, which I usually call them artifacts. So when there is all my build system that completed the so so he read the graphic assets, the sounds and whatever, it just start compiling, and then you get all this artifact, and you have this raw file which is split into multiple file because they are 5-bit planes, and I don't want a single bit plane, a single file representing all the 5-bit planes. I want, for my reason, file number one, which is bit plane number one, file number two, which is bit plane number two, and so on. And also the palette color. And the final result, I think, is in the following slide. And you can go there.
Wait. Yeah.
Okay, this is my Amiga font editor website that you already know. And inside here, there is uh, um, a raw file viewer. So it, it, it takes the raw file. You must, of course, before loading the raw data, you have to declare yourself the size of an image because this information are not inside the raw file. And also you have to provide the color palette. You have to provide color depth and the color palette. And what it does, it just shows on your browser the image interpreted. And as you can see here, the color, the magenta, is now at color index 11. And at color 17, we have a black, which is the old color one. So this is how I do all this stuff to paint the car. So if instead I want another color for the car, I have to pick another color from here. For example, yellow, it's color 31. I just change my build system so that when I convert to raw, it's it's swapped. So the color is swapped, and the car inherits the new color. And this is how it works, at least what I it's my solution. Again, I'm not saying it's the best way to do all this stuff, because I'm pretty sure that there are better tools out there, but that's how I have fun, let's say. And since this is what I did in the last weeks, this is just what I'm saying now. And also, I don't. it's very weird, but I didn't find anything like this on Aminet or any other project out there. There is no such software that takes a raw file, takes the width and the height of the image in Amiga format, of course, so in bit planes, not chunky mode, and just gives you the results in a browser or in a window of a PC. Never found this. Uh, I just found viewers like XMView, which is able to load IFF, but it's XMView. It's not is not able to load raw file, and really I don't know why. This is quite useful for me for debugging purposes because when I have the artifacts out of my build system, I can check visually if there is some problem whatsoever. So, of course, this is pretty trivial. The program is very slow because if you try to load this image, it takes a while on my PC to visualize because the code is not so well optimized, but it works fine for me. So just giving you some suggestions in case you need it, then you know that there is such a tool. And also here you can swap colors as well. There is on the bottom of the screen, you can select color 1, color 2, and then you can click swap colors and save again in raw. So you can play with.
Basically, I'm showing the your raw to planar viewer, just to make them aware of what you are saying. This is the site of Ozzy, where he has several tools. I have done this. I have several times pasted this link, but I will do it again. I personally use it, so if I use it, it must be good.
Okay, we can proceed with the big topic. I think in the next slide,
Yeah, give me a second.
and we can start the war.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Ah, yes, because this is the my keyboard implementation. So, what I did first, if you remember, this is just a cycle, an iteration, and this is on the main game loop. So every frame, the Amiga cycles for max car times. Max cars is just a directive. It's a constant. And in this case, it's value number 2 because we have only 2 cards on the screen. If you want to have more cards, you just have to find where is declared max cards and just put 4 and in it some values because, for example, the starting position of the car and what's the engine power or this crazy stuff, and then this cycle, this iteration will compute the position and will display the extra cards on the screen. At the beginning, there was just instead of JSR A1, there was just a jump to the joystick routine. This means that if you continue add cards, if you have, for example, four cards, you control all the cards only with one joystick. So when your car one turns, the other car turns, and so on. So what I did as a preliminary work is to decouple the logic, and I allocated 4 extra bytes for each car, and these 4 bytes were meant to have the address of the control routine. So each car has an address, a new address, and we are with JSRA1, we are jumping to the control routine. So for car number one, for example, we assign the joystick one routine, and in this case, for car number two, we are assigning the keyboard routine. And all these routines are stored in somewhere in the file system. So this is just, as I said, something that I had to do before implementing the keyboard interrupts, because otherwise all the car will inherit all the same every time the same control, and this is not what we want, even if it's fun. Because and actually there is a way to reproduce this on actually on the game, because on the option screen you can assign the joystick for car 1 and car 2, so you still can drive the two cars with one joystick if you want. Of course, it doesn't make sense. Games doesn't work like this, but in theory, right now, uh, I didn't put any check if there is some duplicate control routine, and it's quite fun actually driving two car with one joystick. So this is the game loop, and you can go with the next slide. And I don't remember what I did in the next. Okay,
Yeah,
this
these are
is
the routines now that you use.
yeah. There is a directory inside the SRC directory. It's a
Hello, kids
subdirectory.
Trinity. Hello, welcome to the stream. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. There is this input routines, and there are three files inside, and I arranged the the code like this. The joystick input.s is the simpler way to do stuff, because it just checks joy1 dot, which is the name of the register that represents the state of the joystick on port 1. And what it does, it checks if up is pressed, if down is pressed, and left is pressed, or right is pressed, and it reports in D0 the state of the joystick. And then the game will read the D0 data register, and we will steer or accelerate or brake according to this D0. Keyboard underscore was the dot s does the same string, but the only difference is it doesn't check the joystick. It checks if the W is pressed, the W key button is pressed, the A button, the S button, and the D button. And like the other routine, it just returns D0, and this D0 in the lower 4 bits, just there is this representation of what the user is pressing, and it's quite straightforward. So the game only computes D0, and the way I put data into D0 is the output of these two routines. This can allow me to be more flexible. For example, in the future, I could implement an AI, self-driving car, like Google, for example, and then you could compete against the computer, for example, because each car is not tied to a specific control. It's just tied to an input routine, which in turn writes into the zero register. The third file is keyboard.s file, and this is the the mother of my problems, because the Amiga, as you already know probably, treats the keyboard quite differently from mouse and joystick support. Because if you want to know if the mouse button is pressed, you just check some bit into the CAA register, and that's it. Every frame you can check if this bit is one or not, and then you can evaluate what you do. With keyboard, it's different because the Amiga keyboard, at least the 500, has an hardware inside, so a PCB, a controller. It sends data to the motherboard, and I think it's some sort of serial connection because it in the keyboard starts sending bits, and then an interrupt is raised, and you must register your interrupt routine in order to catch the event. There is, at least as far as I know, there is no other way to detect a key press on the Amiga. So this is also why I think, this is my opinion, most of the Amiga games use the joystick instead of the keyboard, because I like to play with the keyboard. And when I was young, I said, okay, this game is Tarikan 2, perfect, wonderful, but I want to play with the keyboard. Why do I have to use the joystick? Tarikan 2 also had this problem that you have to press a space bar in order to activate the gyroscope. And every time I was killed because I have to leave the joystick for one moment and press the key, the space bar. So I thought to myself, why didn't they implement a keyboard handler for this? I have to use the joystick. And maybe one of the reason is that keyboard detection is a little bit more complex than the joystick, because you have to do your interrupt routine, and it's I think it's an interrupt level 2, so it's a big priority over the other chipset, over the other chips in the chipset. And of course, interrupts occurs every time, and every time you have to check if the interrupt is the interrupt that you are looking for. And then you have to, when you catch the keyboard interrupt, you also have to read this register, and then you have to wait some milliseconds. So even if it's a very little performance loss, it's still a performance loss. And it's a big complexity, and it's much easier to check the joystick. So this is just my truth. For me, some game developers you prefer to implement only the joystick for this reason, but really, this is
Yeah, I agree with
my
you. I
opinion.
think it's because of the performance loss when you detect the
It, it,
keyboard.
yeah, it's not so big, I would say, but still you lose some scan lines to
Yeah,
detect.
you lose at least four scan lines. So
Yeah, and when you program on stock Amigas, every cycle counts.
yeah,
So you can't waste time waiting to release an interrupt, because when the interrupt occurred, you catch it, and then you have to tell the Amiga, okay, I'm done with the interrupt, and you can continue with your stuff. Uh, when I first read this on the Amiga and the Fabricius's book, I said to me that the Amiga creators were completely crazy, because as a high level program language, I'm used to use C, and for me, with C or Java or whatever, I didn't realize that there was all this complexity behind interrupt, catching interrupts, and so on. I just say get sharp, for example, and that's it. So for me, keyboard was never an issue. But when you program at a hardware level on an Amiga, it's different. You have to understand how the hardware works, even the keyboard. And of course, this took time for me. So the keyboard implementation for me was very important. I spent a whole morning trying to make it work, and it was hard. Even if I had Fabio Ciucci's book, I can copy and paste code from the book to my game. So this is just my story. The take here is, please avoid using the keyboard as input for your games unless you are very motivated. This is at least my suggestion for you. Okay, you can go on. And I also finished the water. So this is keyboard.s, and it's a copy and paste of Fabio Ciucci's book. And as probably all every time happens to me, I have to change something, because this is taken from Lezione 11 to 11m2.s, and what it does, it just detect, or at least on the book, it detect key presses. But I want to know when the key is released, when each key is released, because when you press the W, I want the car to accelerate. If you keep pressing the W, the next frame you gain more speed and more speed and more speed, unless you release it. When you release, there is the friction routine that must kick in, and the car must slow down. So I have to tell the Amiga when you are pressing the throttle or the brake, and when you release it. And for me, this is crucial. Since the Fabio Ciucci's book only taught me how to detect it when you are pressing and not releasing, I just took the liberty to ask in our channel. I got some responses, very informative, one from Dario, and the other, I don't remember the name, please apologize for this. But
It was from me.
Also from you, but there was another
I don't know the name.
programmer, and he just gave me
Ah,
what I
Nivrik.
want.
Ah,
Nivrik,
Nivrik. Yes,
yes,
Nivrik.
yes,
Yes.
yes. He just answered perfectly what I was asking for. And here is my code. So this BFEC01 at line number 2 is the CAA serial data register. I apologize for the comment in Italian, but this is a copy and paste of Fabio book, and the comments are in Italian. And then I just test this bit in the 0, and this bit indicates if the key has been pressed or released. And this is exactly what Nivrig told me. Check this bit and you know when you have to accelerate or apply the friction. If the key is released, I just proceed with the regular masquerading, because when you read the key code from the Amiga, you have to not to invert the state of each bit of the D0 register, and then you also have to switch to shift. What I did is, if the key is released, there is an instruction move.b00 into a0, d0.w. So what it does is I keep track of every keyboard button, and this is the Dario technique. So for each button, I have a byte, and this byte is turned to FF which is 255, or 0. If it's 0, it means that the key is pressed, I think, and if it's FF, it's released. No, it's the contrary, I think. That's how it works. It's the contrary. So I'm mapping all the keyboard when the interrupt occurs, and then I have this area on memory, which is a representation of each key on the Amiga keyboard. And that's it. This is how I do stuff. And the keyboard underscore WASD.S file just checks this keyboard representation in RAM. So it seems to me that this is the best way to handle this problem if we really want to have a player with a keyboard. I keep in mind that all these key codes doesn't work on a A600 because the A600 has no keypad on the right, the numpad. So you can't use the variables related to the numpad if you are using this particular model of Amiga. But I think all the others are good to go. And of course, you can watch the full source code on GitHub if you're interested on this topic. I think we are done. There is only the last slide.
Yeah. So,
and this is my problem. And this is also what I asked in the chat, in the Phase 1.1 Discord chat, because to me, this code, on the top of the page there is a past bin link, and you can copy and paste on your browser so we can watch together. I will explain what I want to show. So this is a copy and paste of the example from Fabio Ciucci, and this is a routine which is executed every time there is a level 2 interrupt. Okay, and this routine is meant to catch the key presses. If you go to line 51, there is a very weird instruction, which is move.b 6 A0 D1. And this is correct because according to the hardware manual, we after catching the data from the serial register, we have to wait a certain amount of time. There are many ways to wait time on the Amiga. The simplest one is this, in my opinion, is just to check the VPOS and wait for scan lines. And this should work on all the Amigas. The problem here is that at line 51, we are moving data from DFF, it's 12, I think, into
DFF 006.
Okay, but there is a displacement with 6 because you say move.b 6 is 0. So if
A0
is
DFF 06 is the address, it's written there.
Okay, yes, because the A0 contains DFF 000, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was wrong.
No.
But whatever. You copy this into D1, but D1 is not saved into the stack.
So
and
can I stop you a second?
Yeah.
just to correct you on the English, I think more than anything, um, Ozzy is saying that there's an error with this instruction. To be fair, this instruction needs to be there, and it is correct. It's just somewhere else there's a mistake, and this causes the issue. Now, I need to say something. In the book, this error doesn't happen because the example is simple. While if you put this in the game, this error will happen quite a bit. And Ozzy is going to explain what he found. It's not possible to catch this problem with the example that there is in the book. I didn't notice it myself, but of course, it is an error, and it needs to be corrected. Ozzy spent half a day fighting with this.
Yeah, and I swear a lot. I can assure you.
But yes, this code from line 50 to line 55, it is correct. Although Oz is saying there's an issue and it is D1, but D1 needs to be there. It's just that, not Ozzy, sorry, Fabio forgot to do something. Now I need to say two things. This routine, I can't tell if it's Fabio that wrote it or somebody else, because from chapter 8 onwards, part of the book were not, this is not to defend Fabio, but to give you some history about the book. Parts of the book were not written by Fabio, but he borrowed, let's say, some code. Now, till chapter 7, he had a rule that register D0 and register D1 are for trashing. Okay? Unfortunately, you cannot do this in an interrupt because you can see that here, okay, we are using an interrupt. It's an RTE, not an RTS. So, yeah, I'm just going to stop here and then let Ozzy continue. But just to put you in the picture of why also in the book the example works, because it's such a simple thing. But anyway,
Okay,
that was a small story.
It's quite hard to explain, but let's take it easy. So when you call a routine with our beloved M68000, this routine often changes the data registers or the address registers. So I'm referring everything but A7, which is special, the stack pointer. So, but the others, probably you need to change it. So,
you forgot to say something, if you permit me. When you
Yeah.
call a routine and it's an interrupt routine. So
I'm just talking general here. I'm
Okay.
just not referring to interrupts. I'm just say generic routine. The routine does something, then exit. Okay. So if this routine must use a data register or an address register, usually the programmer saves the content of this register to the stack, because when the routine comes to an end, we can put back the original value. So you don't lose information. This is how it works. But it's not uncommon to see routines that trashes registers. And this is completely fine, because for the Amiga, saving into the stack takes time. The move.m instruction takes time. And if you do multiple times, it's a performance loss. So even in my AProcessing framework, there are a lot of routines that are trashing and say, okay, you can, for example, plot a point with my routine, but keep in mind, this register will be trashed. It means if you store important, valuable information in this register, you lose it. And it's okay, because I write I write a comment on the top of the routine, and I say, it trashes this and this and this. And it's totally fine. The programmer must know it and must take into account. Things changes if you are inside an interrupt, because you can't tell when the interrupt occurs. You can't say your program, please save on the stack my D1 register and wait for the end of the routine. And you can't do it because interrupts happens every time, and you can't control them. You just can't handle that. If you trash D1, you lose this D1. Why I was getting random crashes on my game? It was because I was playing with the keyboard and I was pressing W and all my keys. And inside my game, there is an instruction which is move.l. So I write on memory with an offset, and the offset was stored into D1. If the interrupt occurs right before this move.l, D1 get trashed. And this means that potentially you can write data outside the boundaries, outside the bit plane. Maybe you are changing your code, maybe you are writing unallocated space, you can know it. And the problem is that here, DFF006 just gives you the vertical position of the beam on the screen. So it could be 0, but it could be a bigger value that goes out of bounds. And if it's a bigger value, there is a big chance that you get a crash. So this is why I continuously crashed. I was getting gurus. Maybe I start the game and I do 5 laps and everything is fine. Sometimes I start the game and after 2 seconds I get a guru meditation, or I get the screen completely destroyed whatsoever. And these are the worst nightmares of a programmer, when you have a bug and you can catch it because it occurs randomly and you really don't know how to debug this, because you can't reproduce it. It changes everything every time, every run. It's different. In this case, it's always different because it depends when you press the keyboard, and when you press the keyboard, the ray at what position it is. So this is why I'm saying this is a bug, and it's not something that it was intended by Fabio or the author or whatever he was. For me, this is just a simple copy and paste from another program, and when you paste it, you have to check if the code is correct. In this particular case, it's not, because you don't leave the programmer the chance to survive, to keep the data of D1. If this routine was put on not on an interrupt, on something that is predictable, you could just say, okay, keep in mind that D1 will be trashed. But in this particular situation, you can't do this. For me, it's just a copy and paste, and this is why I try to avoid copying and paste code as much as I can. I remember one time I got in touch with a programmer. It was a new programmer. It was good, but he always had this tendency to search things on the internet, go to Stack Overflow, copy and paste the code. It works. Okay, let's go with the next problem. And for me, this is not the best way to handle the situation, because, okay, Stack Overflow is there to help you, but you can't copy and paste and don't check what you pasted and don't understand what you did it. So again, I'm quite sure this is a copy and paste from another program, and for me it's a bug, and this is something that should be reported on the book from phase 101, or at least put a very big warning: if you use this routine, don't ever touch D1. Or if you touch it, make sure that this exception doesn't occur when you are using.
Well, correcting the book, what was in the past, it's impossible, but we can correct it in the future. No, now what um, Ozzy is saying, what Ozzy is saying is that he is using the one here. That means we need to save it here, because on exit, when we restore it, we need the same D1 that we had before. Unfortunately, we are corrupting the one here. So the routine is correct. He is using D1, but he forgot to save the value of D1 when entering the interrupt, and of course restoring it on exit of the interrupt. And this is what made Ozzy praying.
Yeah, but I must tell that the simplest solution here is to add D1 to the move m.l instruction,
Yeah,
and of course
exactly.
this will fix. But I didn't go this way. I found another solution. So please go back to the slides, and I want to show you what I did instead of
This one?
saving D1. Yeah, the last page of my slide.
This is the last one. Sorry, because I am sorry. I forgot I am on the web browser.
Yeah, I'm still
Yeah.
seeing your web browser. So what I did is recycle the zero. So before
That's a good
moving
one.
in,
That's a good one.
moving before moving from DFF006, I swap the zero. And why I can swap? Because there is a dbra instruction, the last instruction. The dbra takes into account only words. This means the upper word is free to do whatever you want. So my solution is swap, so you get unnecessary data into the lower part when you can safely write. You store DFF006, you do your comparison, and then when you are done, you swap it again. And for me, this is better because move.movem takes time, swap is much faster, and above all, uh, the swap is done on a situation when you can afford to lose time, because here we are waiting for something. The processor is not doing anything important, and if I waste some cycle to swap, for me it's fine. So this is another solution. Both of the solution are perfectly fine. You can save into the stack D1, agree, fixes, and also this one fixes. Just take what you like the most, but don't use the original routine, because you will end up losing your patient very soon. And this concludes my slides, I suppose.
Okay.
And
So,
I hope this has been informative for you.
yeah. Um, so guys, I hope you like this episode. It was number 3 of the racing car um, episode. Let's say that, or episode series of by Ozzy. I think I will try to stream on Friday this week, but I'm not sure because I'm traveling tomorrow. and I should be back Friday. Um, Given that I get enough time, I should be able to stream. If not, I'll try to stream in the weekend. Um, yeah, and we'll continue from there. Um, I'd like to thank Ozzy for this information, for also finding the bug in the book, which of course I took note of, and it will be fixed. Um, and I don't know, will you be able to prepare something for next week, Ozzy, or 2 weeks' time?
It depends how the weekend goes.
Uh
If
huh.
my
Okay.
family wants to go to ski, it's very hard.
Oh, yeah.
It
Okay.
depends. If it doesn't snow, there is a possibility we can do something.
Guys, thank you very much. I thank Ozzy again, and thank you very much for the follow. I mean, following us, listening to us, um, and hearing some rambling, let's say that, about the book. um, but yeah. So thank you very much, and bye bye. See you Friday. Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.